Shanti, good morning.
Om Shanti.
Shanti, everyone. Shanti, Lynette.
Om Shanti, brother. I forgot. I said Om Shanti and I had my phone on mute. I'm sorry. Good to see you this morning.
Yeah, good to see you too. And good to see both of you. I'm sure others will join us in the next few minutes. But today we are still in the week of Dadi Janki's Remembrance Day. So we will watch one of Dadi Janki's videos where she's reading the Murli, and then we'll have some reflections on that one. But before we do that, great to see you on the screen, Viviana. You look like it's a splendid background and things. Great to see you. So I wonder if either of you wanted to ask anything or share anything to get us started today.
Thank you. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for translating those Vogue messages. They're just very, very great to have to be able to understand the messages as clearly as when you put them through. One thing I wanted to ask, and from the Vogue messages and also from the Murli, as Brahmins, we go to Baba when we need to get answers to some things or situations. And it's something that we have been doing all along. But in the Vogue message yesterday, I forgot which one was it. Baba is saying, he's showing some letters and he's telling the sister that children write these letters that they keep asking for small things. Baba, help me with this, or Baba, help me with that. I don't understand that portion of it, because he always says, come to me before you make a decision. And then you will make the right decision. So I don't understand the variations of the whole thing, or the conflicting feeling of going to Baba when you want him, or not as say want him, or you need to get some clarification. Should I do this? Should I do that? I don't know what context it came from. If you can just, talk about that a little bit, I'll appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. So I believe it was in the Om Shanti Bhavan Bhog message from this Thursday, the one that Sister Shashi brought back for us. And you'll recall there was the scene of Baba being high up on a mountain, and there being that pathway of self-respect, and Baba very poignantly observing that only a small number of BKs are truly stable in self-respect. And he seemed to be suggesting that the majority of BKs still need to take the support of limited identities. And that actually won't let us get up to Baba. We need to move closer in that way. And then the scene changed, and we had the scene where there were a number of letters in front of Baba. And Baba had said that actually a lot of these are questions that the children are asking. But the reality is the children really do know what to do already. So I think there's a couple of things in that. The first one is our journey as godly students, our journey of maturity. And it's definitely true that when we are newer in Baba's study, we do have more questions. And Baba encourages us to develop our relationship with Baba. And he will say in the morning, make sure you're writing to Baba. Make sure you're asking Baba for everything, and you're taking Baba's help in that way. And that's right, and we should do that. I was also mentioning this morning that there will be some illnesses within us which are so deep that no matter how much effort we make, we're not able to eradicate them. And we need Baba the surgeon. And in that relationship, we are the doctor. So we have to diagnose, actually. Baba expects us to check what's going on. And there can be something which is such deep sanskars. Like Baba was saying that you performed actions which have created certain sanskars that can be very powerful. And they can overwhelm you. So this is where we've got to, my experiences, we've got to write to Baba. I remember writing to Madhavan about 10, 12, 10, 15 years ago, maybe. There was this one set of sanskars that I just wasn't able to really make much progress on. And I wrote to Madhavan, and it really was amazing how that was removed. So I'd spent some years trying to eradicate those set of sanskars. I just wasn't able to do it. And I did find writing to Madhavan meant that some blessing removed this. And I knew that that wasn't my, that was some extra help from Baba. So yes, we do want to continue to do those things. But then as we become more experienced students, actually, is it true that we need to carry on asking? At what point do we reach stage of mastery? And there's one very subtle mechanism of Maya. And last Saturday, you will recall, we watched Dadi Janki's class, and she used to talk about these 10 heads of Ravan as 5 big vices that we know about, and then 5 smaller vices that support the big vice. And in her list of the smaller vices, she always put making excuses. She always put that as a vice. She said that that vice of making excuses supports the big vices a lot. And one very subtle mechanism linked with that is pretending we don't know what we need to do. So we actually create conversations with Bapdada or even with other Brahmins. And actually we do know it, but we don't really want to do it. So we just keep it on a conversational level. And it's a sanskar from Bhakti, like I was saying last week, that you'll find many people in the world who can give you advice. Like you ask me, the whole of your community is full of people who want to give you advice. Whether they are following that themselves, that's not the issue. So in Bhakti, in body consciousness, we have knowledge to advise others, but we don't have knowledge that is introspective. So we don't use that knowledge to look at ourselves and change ourselves. In fact, we have the ego that I don't need to change. Who are you? If someone points something to us, who are you? To tell me we will reject it and try and prove that they are wrong. So we have done that for many births. And so what occurs is that even though we got, like, Baba puts it in the Murli with that beautiful metaphor, doesn't he? That if you turn the whole of the ocean into ink, you turn all of the forests into pens, you turn the land into paper, you will never reach the end of this knowledge. And we think of even in one Murli, how many points there are and how much depth there is. Then we got so many Murlis. So definitely the answers are there. But sometimes what we do is we listen to the Murli in the morning and we don't have the power to absorb it. We don't really absorb those things into ourselves. We've just listened on a theoretical level. So we understand the Murli. And if someone then asks us, we'll share a nice point. But what Baba is saying is that knowledge is for you to use yourself. So it's a very subtle mechanism of actually talking with Baba to avoid doing what Baba's already told me to do. And I've shared this with you also before. I very rarely talk to Baba, very rarely. Like if you listen in the Murlis, the way that Brahmaveda puts it is quite different, I think, to many of the BK's conversations. So in the Sakar Murlis, Brahmaveda will say, talk to Shiv Baba, oh, Baba, you've come after all this time to create our fortune with heaven in the palm of your hand. So actually the way he's talking to Shiv Baba is basically using the Murli point to bring himself into a higher consciousness and to keep himself intoxicated, to keep his vision elevated. So he is talking to Baba in a very different way. He's not saying, Shiv Baba, I don't know what to do. He is saying that, no, this is how you should talk to Baba. So I think what Baba is saying is, you know what to do. You've got a lot of knowledge. Use it. And actually, you will move from being souls who have knowledge to souls who are the embodiment of solution. So in the Hindi Murlis, the phrasing is very nice. And it's, Baba says that children are sometimes Karan Swarup. They're the embodiment of reason. So when we come into conversations, we usually frame our weaknesses with reasons why we have those weaknesses. We don't say that I've got this weakness because I don't want to change. We will say, I've got this weakness because of this reason. This caused me to have this weakness. So Baba says you're in that form of being the embodiment of reason. But Baba wants you to become Samadhan, so the embodiment of the solution. And solutions are only provided through experience. So you can listen to the Murli and repeat a point to someone else, but that is not as powerful as if you use that point yourself and then share with other Brahmins, this is how I did it. So you share the experience of using the point. And the Baba says there's no greater authority than experience, because then you can show the path to others. That, oh yes, I dealt with this in this way. It's possible to do it this way. And we're sharing these methods and perspectives. So we become the embodiment of solution. So that was my interpretation of that scene. And I've shared this with you all before as well, that Brother Ramlochan, who is one of the senior brothers in Shantivam that looks after the kitchen department. He's a very experienced yogi. And I think it was in the early 80s, he came to Baba in 1972, I think it was. So he would have been with Baba about 10 years at that time. And many Brahmins have this experience that Baba helps them a lot in the first 10 years or so. And then they find, you find that there's a make or break phase for many Brahmins, which is about 8 years in knowledge to about 15 years in knowledge. And you'll find that many BKs, they become quite loose in that phase. So they were very accurate with everything, and then you don't see them so much in class anymore. You don't see, and it will be often in this phase. And Baba was meeting Brahmins individually in the early 80s. And so Brother Ramlochan actually asked Baba directly, in a personal meeting, that how come you're not helping me as much as you used? What a thing to ask Baba, but we're pleased that he asked. So Baba-Dada's answer was that when a child is small, it suits them to sit in the parent's lap. But when the child grows, if you put a 10-year-old in your lap, it looks very old. It looks very odd, right? It would be quite unusual to have an older child in the parent. And in fact, they wouldn't want to sit in the parent's lap. So what Baba was saying was that when you're younger, Baba is putting you in his lap and carrying you. So you have the easier experience in Brahman life, but you're old enough. You've got to walk on your feet. And so what occurs over time is that Baba is teaching you to walk. So this was my interpretation of that scene. That Baba's saying, come on now, how long are you going to constantly ask Baba for answers? You've got to figure this out yourself. You've got to use the knowledge that you know. You've got to pick up a Murli book. Sometimes many Brahmins have a good experience with that. They have a question, they pick up a Murli book, they open the page, the answer is there on that page. And so they have many good experiences. You have a question in your mind, next morning in the Murli, the answer is there for you. So the answers are there, you know that. Then part of mastery, part of growing up is the utilization of the 8 powers. We have to become master or master of things. And so what the 8 powers are about is empowerment. It's about mastery. So Baba expects us to utilize these powers. We gain these powers through yoga. So Baba says, absorb these powers at Amrit Vela, and then during the day you have to use them. And the more that you use them, the more they will grow. So through this, you're gaining mastery. So like we're going to hear from Dadi Janki later, and you see, she became the embodiment of solutions for all of us, right? So we were watching Betty Gulzar's class the other week in her Remembrance Day. And again, it's like they don't need to ask questions, but they already walk the path. So they've utilized the powers over a long period of time. They've utilized the knowledge over a long period of time. So that's why Baba puts them in front of us and he says, look, share. So they became teachers for us because they're the embodiment of solutions. So I think what Baba's saying to all of us is so many more Brahmins are going to come. If you think that, you look at India, there's about 1 million BKs in India, but there's 1.4 billion people. And Baba has said he's going to have a revolution, particularly in India. People's attention, it was in today's blessing, wasn't it? That Abu is going to become the great pilgrimage place. So many Brahmins are still going to come. I can remember, I think it was the 18th January gold message, something like that Sister Mohini abroad in Shantivan. And Baba had said in that message that the big gathering of the Diamond Hall in Shantivan will be replicated in many places as you move forward. So we can see these retreat centers are being built, like so many buildings are being built around the place. And Baba's got plans. So what Baba's saying is that, you see, we still might feel we're young. We might feel we're still juniors. But Baba's looking at who's to come. And he's saying, right, you've got to mature all of you. You are now going to have to become the supports for those to come. If you're 10 years in knowledge, 15 years in knowledge, people who are new, they look at you with that vision of seniority. If you think when my mother came to knowledge, Sister Janki was in knowledge 13 years. It's hard to imagine. like she seems like she's there for so long, like we've been there forever. But she was only 13 years in knowledge, and she was only 32 years old when my mother came to know me. But look, she had to become like the senior for the world eventually, right? Dadi Gozal was only 12 years old when she came to knowledge. But she had to become a daddy for the world. Right? So this is the vision with which Baba looks at us. There was, when I was 16 years old, Dadi Janki had gone to give a class at one of the students of the London Centre's homes. And they had invited me and Ranjan Ben to go along. And it was my early days of effort, very new in effort. I was with Baba since Ranjan Ben came to Baba when I was 4 years old. But really only when you're a bit older can you sort of, your brain is a bit older, a bit more mature. So I began making my efforts really when I was about 15, 16, 17 years old, that age. And Daddy was giving a lot of support, a lot of encouragement at that time to me. And she said that in that gathering, she said that Baba had shown her in yoga that I was a DK in my last life, and that he had sent me to the London Centre because in the future I would show others the beauty of the London class. Now, we didn't know we'd be sitting here right now. Yeah? And we didn't know that there'd be these daily WhatsApp classes. Well, basically, I'm sharing with you what I learned from Dadi Janki all those years ago. And so I don't think any of you are missing out, actually, in those classes, those benefits that we gained. But Daddy was having that vision, Baba was having that vision from back in those days, saying that, okay, this is why, because this soul, if he sits in Daddy's class, he'll remember. And then in the future, he can share those things with others. So you see, this is what Baba is saying to us, that all of you study well, become the embodiment of the solutions, share the benefit with those coming after you. That was my interpretation. Did anyone else want to share any other thoughts on that? Yeah. Good.
I'm so thankful for the way you explained this, the analogies, the explanation that you put through. And I'm thinking in my mind, I am so thankful that you have come into my life as it is through Zoom, because if it was not for you, I would not understand a whole lot of things. And the little questions, and I don't think it's little, it's like big questions to clarify so much in, the way you go about your daily lives and how you handle them. And what you just explained, I have never heard it before, the way Baba would, Brahma Baba will talk to Shiv Baba in that context. Because when I talk to Baba, I would say, Baba, you're with me. Now you're doing this, I'm not doing this. You're doing this through me, you're serving through me. But I didn't think about talking to Baba in such a way that the way Brahma Baba would talk to him. So that made a big impact this morning for me. And I'm very thankful for that. But I'm just as thankful that you are in my life as well. So I just wanted to, express that. Thank you so much. That's why this Zoom class is so valuable to me. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a mutual gift. So we get a lot of energy. Ranjin's just joining us. I particularly see that she gets a lot of energy from this gathering on a Saturday and from other gatherings. Of course, we'll meet you soon in a couple of weeks in New York. So that's another gift in the drama. Definitely. But one thing also at that sort of time that Dadi had said to me, she said I was a good student in my previous life. So Baba had shown her that he's made me master knowledge. He's given a blessing, a gift into my intellect to be able to share knowledge. And so this is another lesson, you see, that we don't know when we're going to leave this body. You know, Baba says we've got to make the most of every day, every opportunity, study well. And if we study well now, Baba says you take the sunstars reading of that study. So this is also something we didn't know, obviously. But whatever we did, that benefit of that previous life, then Baba gets pleased and he says, okay, this child studying well, let me equip them even more with that for the future. They can benefit even more souls in the future. So all of these things is actually the blessing which Baba gives us, the speciality which Baba gives us. He then says, use it. And it's that speciality which then benefits others, and then we gain the blessings for that. So this is the way in which it's just this mutual spreading. But one thing that I wanted to do today is we're going to watch Dadi read the Murli. Now, it's quite a short one, but I've heard Dadi read the Murli so many times, and unfortunately in those days they didn't record all these things. But I would say a lot of the way in which I can pull things out of the Murli is because I was sitting and looking at her, listening to her pull. So I could hear the same point, and I didn't notice the way in which Baba left that. And then I got used to, because she would use her body language a lot, and facial expressions a lot, eyebrows. Like, so when you're sitting in those classes, her emphasis on certain points, and then there was a great storyteller, so she's bringing in the stories that illustrate those points. So I would say a lot of that is all of that, you know, just studying, learning the way that she would explain things, and then passing that on. Because there's one sort of, I think it's a little bit of a misconception that we can give a return to Baba, or we can give a return to Dadi, or a return to our elders. Because how do you give a return to them? You know, they don't even need anything. But I don't think you can pay back like that. I think you've got to pay forwards. You've got to pass on. So it's not a return, it's a passing on. And that is what we must do. The Yagya looks after us. We've got to sustain the Yagya for future generations, right? For other Brahma. That's our responsibility. We can't really give back to those who gave to us, but we must give back to the Yagya, keep it going. So others who come, it's there for them, it's better for them, and we're seeing that. So I think that's really what this is. You always must pay forward, and whatever benefit you're gaining now, I'm sure you're also then also passing that on to others. Would anyone else like to come in with any points or comments?
Shanti, good morning, everyone. I know I came in a few minutes later, so I didn't hear the comment or question, and I'm assuming it's from Leonard Ben. What I had found when I listened to the book message, and Baba says, you know, everything is in the Murli. I felt he was getting a little bit impatient, which is not what Baba is. And I agree that Baba is saying, you know, he has told us everything. There's not much or anything else, much more to say, if at all anything else. And Baba has been spoon feeding us, you know, for years. And Baba has come to empower us. And as you were saying, the early years of the Brahmin life, at least for me, I felt I moved along with blessings. I moved along with Baba's blessings. I moved along with the instruments' blessings in this country. Because service was a big thing for me. Every minute that I could have done service, I did service. And then rightly so, as you're saying, that you get tired after a while. And it's not that you move away, but you feel that, you know, I know certain things now. The effort is there. And then you recognize that you cannot be also just moving along with just blessings. The effort has to come from you. Because with my work life was always a busy work life, late hours, early mornings. And many souls used to comment and say, we don't know how you do it. Because straight from work, I will go to the center till late. And there were things within my working life that were new that I was able to manage. And sometimes I sit back and I say, well, how did I get it done? But I had recognized it was Baba's help. It was always Baba's help. And now, you know, I was thinking just last night as I lay down, I was thinking, you know, when we came into this cycle, all of us originally were pure and clean from the beginning, whenever that started. And what made us fall? What made us fall? And everything stemmed from coming into the identity of body. You know, all the ego that came with it, identifying with the different roles. And as Baba's rightly saying now that, you know, even when we do service, it's just, I have done this, you know, I would have been responsible for this service also. So it's just like, we doing the service and we identifying more with the service, what was done, than actually just being. You know, you do the service with the utmost intention of just whatever is to be. I've done it with a pure heart and then let it go. But many times we don't let it go. We judge what we have done. We look to see how many would have benefited. And that too is a sense of body consciousness. And when we look at daddies, how they do, you know, they just do without any intention of whether a reward or whether who benefits, who doesn't benefit. They just do. This is how I see the daddies do it. And because of the urgency, I think all the book messages now is pointing to the urgency of the time and what is needed from the Brahmin souls. And also because of that, then whatever we have inside keeps erupting. You know, things keep coming, and obstacles, yes, they come to make us grow. And then as Baba was saying this morning with Murli, is that sometimes we come with so many torn clothes, the analogy that he used, that when a stick is used, sometimes we get torn even further. But it is really the foundation of, I always say, comes back to this deep realization and the foundation of who am I? Who am I? And what has Baba now come into the cycle to tell us or to teach us or to take us along? It is not really not about me. It is really of what is needed in the world. And we don't need no convincing, because we are seeing what is happening right around. We're seeing with climatic change, we're seeing within our own families, we're seeing all these upheavals that are taking place. And it is this foundation, the Dadis and Brahma Baba, and they had the vision. Brahma Baba had vision, and I always felt that, yes, Brahma Baba had vision, and his realization went so deep that nothing would have shaken him. You know, he was focused on what was needed to do. We didn't, most of us did not have those visions, but it comes back down where I believe is my depth of realization, my depth of how deep it is, that I will not allow anything to shake me and keep the focus. Yes, the sanskars are there and they erupt from time to time without sometimes even anticipating it at the moment. But it is really coming back always, you know, I am this soul. I am Baba's child, you know, this affirmations within myself of who I am. I am Baba's child. I am a deity soul. and that what is expected of me, but not from others, but what is expected of me, myself. What do I expect from me? And just going forward. So really, Baba's messages now, I felt has gotten a different tone as they are coming in the book messages. And it really is an indication. Somebody had once said to, the indication of the closeness of time is when the daddies start leaving. We don't have them anymore. We just have Daddy Ratanuyini, we have a few seniors. But it really is really realizing what this world needs from me, but what I need from myself, what I need to do, So those are a few of my thoughts. Shanti.
This morning, Baba was recalling the bhatti that they had in Karachi, and he was saying that many of those bricks were baked. A bhatti means a kiln, the oven for baking the pottery. And with these daddies, he made sure that they focused on yoga first, on the soul consciousness first, and karma yoga first. So they were very busy, but they were not sharing so much knowledge first. They were not doing service projects. They were not setting up centers. And so with these daddies, there was that foundation of yoga, like you said, and then they came into service. With us, we can tend to do the service and the knowledge first. So Dadi Janki used to say, you've made the fourth subject the first subject. But it's meant to be Gyan, Yoga, Dharana, Seva. So it's knowledge, yoga, inculcation, and then service. So this is the danger, because the two subjects which are more extroverted are knowledge and service. And so those two we are more naturally going to get involved in. But if we don't have that same focus on the yoga and the dharana, then the knowledge and service can become a dependence. It can be an identity from which we gain self-esteem. But we're meant to now, as you say, gain our self-esteem from being a soul, from being Baba's child, from experiencing yoga. And then if we got that yoga, we have the fullness. And if we've got the emotional fullness, then we don't need to take from the actions we perform. The actions are really like an offering for others, rather than something that fulfills me. And so that's the stage of the karma yoga. Thanks for that. Would anyone else like to come in?
Om Shanti.
Janki?
Thank you for that eye-opening message in the beginning that you mentioned about the sub-vices, the smaller vices. It's probably connected to the bigger ones, which, so subtle, and probably we miss out on a daily basis. Can't even recognize sometimes until you mention now. I couldn't even realize that it can be such a vice that it can lead to getting into us falling prey to the bigger one. So my question is, that was like very important for me. I'm so glad I connected today. And I would like to ask you, on a daily basis, how do we recognize these subtle vices in terms of, like, for example, you said we don't even take responsibility. We keep putting everything on Baba to seek help, or why not we ourselves kind of make an effort, because it's enriched us with so much information. Or even the subtle feeling of, if I may say, for the sake of examples, you're still seeking validation or still seeking approvals. how do we recognize that and start implementing on a daily basis to transform that? But because as Baba was saying today in the Murli about cleaning ourselves with all this in our mind, so I really like to get your inputs on that to get some support. Thank you.
Great to
Om
have you here with everyone. Thank you.
Om
Yes,
Shanti.
so Dadi Janki, when we hear in the Murli the explanation about Radhan, Baba tends to say 5 vices of the male and 5 vices of the female. These are the 10 heads of Radhan. And at another time when it comes up, I'll share some churnings on that because there's a lot of depth and subtlety in that one as well. And if you think about it, some vices, they're very much more feminine in their usage. So as you'll recognize, like for example, anger in the form of jealousy is more feminine, isn't it? And anger in the form of maybe violence is more masculine. So that's also subtleties that we've got to churn on. But Lady Janki used to present it as 5 big vices and 5 small vices. So she would say, she would sometimes alter the content of the 5 vices a little bit, depending on what message she wanted to give. But excuses was always in there. But generally she would say fear, jealousy, excuses, laziness, and careless. So fear, jealousy, excuses, laziness, and carelessness. And she would say these are the 5 vices that support the big vices. And fear is a really big one because actually so many vices are driven by fear. And fear is born at the start of the copper. And it's linked with something lacking. So when there's something missing in our life, or something is vulnerable, then we develop fear. So for the whole of the golden and silver age, we don't know what fear is. Baba says there's no untimely death, you're full of all payments. There's not even a word for that. There are no accidents, no natural calamities. So the meaning of Sata Pradhan means reliability. But then when we enter the copper age, it's Raju for that. So it's mixed, begins to become mixed. And that creates fear because then suddenly we're not certain. Suddenly we've got some level of something missing inside as well. Now, Baba doesn't go into great details about these things at that time. But he just says the deities, they come onto the path of sin like that. So we know we begin using the vices. And I presume that we lose our ability to create children through purity and through yoga power, through the power of thought. So we then come into these physical interactions and we begin to use the vices. So I think we've got to appreciate the foundation that when we're checking ourselves, all of these weaknesses are linked with something missing in our lives, something lacking, adurava. Without that missing link, there are no vices. This is why in the bold messages every week, actually, Bible says, become full. Make sure you're full. Fill yourself. Full, full, full. Because that's what conquers the vice. So, as you're saying, you gave the example of the need for validation. Now, we can see that for 63 births, we have needed this. I used to teach children, and you see this in children from a very young age. They need validation. You see, maybe from 2 years old, 3 years old, very young age. So what happens is we have a need. So as we're born into the Iron Age, as children we are vulnerable. I think children in the golden age are not so vulnerable. My instinct is that we are born like a 2-year-old, 3-year-old. But when we iron, I don't think we are born very vulnerable in the golden age. And we're not needy. We're not. It's like from the start, we are not needy. But the soul is just full of attainments from the beginning. The body is pure, it's powerful from the beginning. It's not like a little baby is totally dependent on the iron. I don't think they're dependent even as a baby so much in the golden age. So we think about our foundation in the iron. It is neediness. It is vulnerability. And then Bodhisattvas, doesn't it? From the beginning, middle, and end, you have sorrow in the iron age, you see? So he would call all of this sorrow. And from that young age, once children, they begin to socialize. So firstly, it's usually with parents. The children are analyzing, how can I get attention from my parents? How can I make these people laugh? How can I create some sort of focus on me? And then from the age of 4, our brain is developed and we can have fun. So if you see children who are 3 years old, even if they're in kindergarten, they're in nursery school, they'll be playing their own. They can't play with other children. At 4 years old, they can begin to play with other children. So their brain develops in this way. So then we begin to see ourselves and people outside of our family. And we begin to develop an identity through looking at other people's eyes. So firstly, it's our parents, main caregivers and brothers and sisters. And then from the age of 4, 5, 6, we're spending more time at school, more time with friends, more time with teachers. And so what's happening is we're all the time seeing how they see. So this, for me, is the foundation, start of body consciousness. Seeing ourselves, defining ourselves in other people's vision. And my experience is it takes a lot of years of overcoming this. Usually we transfer all of that into the Brahmin family. So I would say for many, I was a child anyway, I'm a young person anyway, but for many years, I would be seeing myself in Dadi's vision, Senior's vision, Brahmin's vision. And happily for me, mainly very positive. So it helped, it was a gift for my self-respect, but it is a dependency. And so you can't, like the sister was just describing, that we then develop service roles. Well, then this is what Baba was commenting on in that board meeting, that I'm in charge of this project. Did you see? So in the Brahmin family, everyone wants to be something. And so what happens is that when Brahmins are introduced, they're introduced, even though we teach soul consciousness, actually they'll be introduced based on all the body conscious roles. So what happens is we are given a slight mixed message there that if I want to be someone in the Brahmin family, I must have these roles, I must have these positions. And Dada Ramesh used to comment on this, that this really began about 20 years ago when they began to give talks in the diamond room. Suddenly there was someone who came and introduced you, and they would give a long introduction. I don't think it used to happen before then in classes, that someone comes and introduces you. So Dada Ramesh would sit there listening to his introduction, and he would say, well, actually, I'm a soul, I'm Shiva's child, and that introduction is not given, and everything else is. So I think this is what that is referring to, that be cautious about this. Don't identify, because what do you have to become? You have to become a point. A point means equal to Baba. And a point is not less, but you see, our ego will see a point as nothing. That means I'm no one. But actually, the point is fullness. The bindu is a sindhu. So the point is an ocean. But I won't feel that fullness as long as I need these external dependencies. So my experience is that it's many years of practicing the yoga, checking the sound. So I think there'll be a percentage where we continue to take through the Brahmin family. And what Dadi is expecting is that that reduces over time. When Jim Ben was reading a Murli to a group yesterday evening, I sent that Murli in the WhatsApp group. And you'll read in that Murli is the 4th of February, 75. And those Murlis, 1969 to 1976, that type of thing. Baba was training the Dadis. A lot of those Murlis, you'll see that he's talking to the Dadis. He's just handed over to them. If you think in 69, Dadi Gozal was 39 years old. Dadi Prakash when he was 47 years old. They were quite young. And he's saying in that Murli that he's expecting them to have 75% at that time. So you can see that they got to 100%, and we saw them develop their stages. But probably Baba's expecting us to get to a certain percent of this part, depending on where we are, but he's expecting improvements. And so we are making progress away from those dependencies. And the subtle dependencies are also our own old samskaras and nature. So we can be quite set in our ways. And I would say, for me, the key is always checking our foundation. So if I'm beginning to make excuses as to why I'm not getting up for unlike very long, why I'm not hearing the moral, why I'm mixing around my diets, my purity, that's where I really need to look at myself. But if I'm being accurate in all of those, then the daily morally is always making me reflect. And I'm always, like came the other day about looking to see, am I getting angry? Am I using any vices? What is Baba expecting? So I think that that's how we just have to listen to the Murli each day and reflect. And then these gatherings, like we just said, it gave you a realization. I was we were watching the Murli from Shantivan this morning, Dr. Amurfela. Didi Chakradhari was reading that Murli. And she said a point that I've heard this point so many times, but I hadn't actually heard it the way she was then pointing it out. And Baba says in the Murli, Baba Goyate. So as you sit and stand, move around, keep remembering Baba. Now, what she was saying is today, let's check every time we sit, every time we stand, am I remembering Baba? So I thought that was nice. And I've heard this point many, many times, but I haven't actually checked every time. And maybe there's something that Baba is observing, that when we transition from sitting to standing, standing to lying down to standing up, actually forget Baba in those moments. And if we sorted that out, maybe it sets up our remembrance and the action afterwards. So actually it's these meetings with Brahmins that's actually quite good for us to then be, okay, maybe helps us to have a realization as well. So I would say all of this is part of that process of change. Thanks for the question.
I just pick up from that. Dadi Gurus are, whenever they say, we forget sometimes. It's not a continuous remembrance, as Baba would say, Sada, Sada. And Dadi Gujra says, when you drink water, eating, Baba says, you promise only one Baba and no other. So when you eat, drink, you're conscious, then why do you not remember Baba? You still have Baba, and that will help. And so this is, I think, Baba says that time we don't accumulate Baba's remembrance in our yoga class. And but if we want to remember Baba continuously, then at every step, for every breath, then to pay attention on all this, am I with Baba? Yes, of course, you could do other things, but just checking if Baba with me, is my remembrance proper? Am I sitting on my feet of soul conscious? And the titles Baba gives us, lots of titles according to the time, Master Sarva Shaktiman, Master Almighty. So that's where I think the lack of that attention and that practice, Baba was constant, without breaking our life connection with Baba. Yesterday, Baba said, yesterday, first time when you said ekta or unity for our thoughts, we think when we have meeting, it's a unity of, respect. But Baba explained it to be the sisterhood, that is ekta means only everyone's thought should have what Baba says, Baba's feeling. That is real unity, that ekta. Is otherwise it will become the opinion of others, even if Brahmins, even no matter how senior they are, but they all have the same outcome. Is it as Baba says, streamer, or still it differs from Baba's streamer, somebody that then it will be Parvati, someone. So I thought that was really, because when all this time I thought ekta means we all unite, and no matter what. Although for that, Baba says that you give your opinion as a master, and then if it's not the same, and if they don't accept, if they don't use your opinion and input, and then don't become upset and things, then as a master, give that input, but then become humble child of Baba. Whatever is decided, that's fine, it's in the drama. And so become a child and a master. So that's nice to see. But this ekta yesterday dropped in me. Penny looked at Baba means Baba's Srimad. Is everyone in agreement with Baba's Srimad? Is it as per Baba's Srimad? I thought that was really good.
That was the Bhog message for Dadi Janki's thing that Sister Mahini brought. That this was Baba's message to us and Dadi's message to us. That Srimad was from that. Because I translated it in English. That's why we did that yesterday.
Yeah.
So that gives us a nice segue into Dadi Janki's class. So let's join Dadi reading a Murli. I'll just share the screen. But hopefully you can all see that, okay?
Now, let us see what Baba is saying in the Murli. So we will listen to the Murli song. So this song is There Is No One Like the Innocent Lord.
अभी सुनना बाबा भोलेनाथ बाबा की
Now you heard Baba is the
कितनी अच्छी
innocent
समझानी
Lord.
दे रहा है.
He gives such very good
शंकर भोलानाथ
explanation.
नहीं है.
Shankar is not the innocent
शंकर
Lord.
भोलानाथ नहीं है, शिव भोलानाथ है.
Shiva is the innocent
कृष्ण
Lord.
भोलानाथ नहीं है.
Krishna is not the innocent Lord.
शिव बाबा भोलानाथ है.
Shiv Baba.
उन जैसा और कोई नहीं
And there
है.
is no one else like him.
भला आज कौन जाने वाले हाथ उठाओ.
Put your hands up who's leaving today.
बहुत है.
Quite a few.
अच्छा कल कौन जाने वाले हैं.
Who's leaving tomorrow?
मेजॉरिटी कर जा रही है.
Majority are leaving tomorrow.
ठीक है. सुनो मुरली.
So now the
कल
Murli.
रात को अव्यक्त बोली सुनी ना.
You
बाबा
heard
की.
Baba's Avyak Murli last night.
नए बच्चों को बाबा ने प्यार किया.
Baba has given a
अभी
lot of
टाइम
love
के
to the
पहले आए
new
हो, पेपर
children,
देने के पहले
and
आए
he
हो.
said you came within time.
हाँ? तो नए बच्चे बाबा के फ्रेश हो गए ना, हाथ उठाओ.
So you
अच्छी
all
तरह से-
put your hands up, the new ones, you got refreshed by Baba.
देख रही हो.
Dadi is seeing everyone.
जब भी कोई बाजा बाबा का आए,
When you hear any song of Baba,
बाबा का माना
when you say Baba,
मेरा बाबा का माना
my Baba, it means you are free from bondages. Once I said to Baba,
में जीवन मुक्ति.
you say it's Jivan Mukti in a second,
जनक को सेकंड में जीवन मुक्ति मिली.
that Janak had Jivan Mukti in a second, but it took us so much time. So Baba said, you understand in a second.
समझा मेरी बात. जो बात समझ में आती है ना सेकंड में.
You understand in a second. It's about understanding, getting the point. You've been hearing for so many years without understanding, without putting it into practice. That means you didn't understand.
भोलानाथ बाबा
So Baba, the innocent Lord,
ऐसा समझाता है जो
continues to explain so that you can understand it in a second. Sweet children,
ये भी वंडर है. जिनमें भी सारा रस
in the heading is the whole secret,
मूली का सुना देते हैं.
the essence of the Murli. Sweet
यात्रा
children,
पर हो.
you are on the spiritual pilgrimage.
वापस
You
इस मृत्यु लोक
are not
में
going
नहीं
to
आना.
return to this world of death.
तुम्हारा उद्देश्य है
Your aim
मनुष्य से देवता
is to
बनना,
become a
बनाना.
deity from a human being and to make others. You will not come back to the world of death.
उद्देश्य क्या है? मनुष्य से देवता बनना और बनाना.
You have to become deities and make others that too.
16
Question:
कला संपूर्ण बनने वालों की निशानी क्या हो?
what is the sign of those who are to become 16 celestial degrees complete? Answer:
वह अपनी झोली ज्ञान
they
रत्नों से अच्छी तरह
fill
भर
their
कर,
pockets with the jewels
वह
of
अपनी
knowledge
झोली
very
ज्ञान
well,
रत्नों से अच्छी तरह से भर कर दूसरों के भी भरेंगे.
and they also fill the pockets of everyone
ज्ञान
else.
रत्नों का दान कर,
They give donation of the jewels of knowledge
का दान कर, अपना उच्च मर्तबा
and
बनाएंगे.
create a high status for themselves.
दूसरा वे पक्के महावीर होंगे.
Secondly, they are firm Mahavirs, great
माया जरा भी
warriors.
हिला नहीं सकती.
They cannot be shaken at all by Maya. Do you understand?
इतने महावीर होंगे, माया कभी हिला नहीं सकती.
Maya can never shake you.
वह अखंड अचल
They are stable, steady, and constant. From the beginning to the end, they continue. Dadi's looking for one brother.
अच्छा सुनो, कल हमारी चिरू हरियाणवी
Dadi had a nice conversation with him from the beginning till the end.
चलते रहे अचल अखंड. चलते रहेंगे
continuing constantly.
पापों से मुक्त हो पुण्यात्मा बनने की युक्ति क्या है
What is the method to be free from sin and to
पापों से
become
मुक्त
a charitable soul?
पुण्यात्मा बनने की युक्ति क्या है इस अंतिम जन्म की कहानी
The story of this last
जन्म की
birth
कहानी बाप को सुना कर राय ले लो
should be told to Baba, whatever is on your conscience, and then take advice.
ज्ञानतनों का दान करते रहो
Continue to give donations of the jewels of knowledge, and you will become a charitable soul.
गीत
The song,
भोलेनाथ से निराला कोई और नहीं
no one is like the innocent Lord.
ओम शांति
Shanti.
बाबा ने ओम का अर्थ समझाया
Baba has explained the meaning of Om.
जब बाबा अव्यक्त हुआ ना
When Baba became Avyakt,
बाबा से क्वेश्चन पूछा
someone asked a
बाबा
question.
तो है नहीं किसको सुनाए
So now Baba is not there,
आपको सुना करके
so who should we listen to?
राय ले लो
So
क्या
take
जवाब दिया
take advice. What did Baba say, do you think?
जो श्रीमत पर चलने वाले हैं ना उनको सुना
Listen to those who are following Srimad.
श्रीमत पर चलने वाले हैं
So this is who you can take advice from.
मैंने
He's referring to when Brahma Baba became an angel. We read this Murli in January, you might remember the 21st of January, the very first of Yak Murli where only Shub Baba came. And he was saying that these senior daddies, Dadi Manmohini, Dadi Prakashmani, Dadi Janki, they've been following Srimad for such a long time that you can take their advice, because to take their advice, they know what Baba would advise. So she's referring to that.
तो गीत भोलेनाथ से निराला और कोई नहीं ओम शांति बाबा ने ओम का अर्थ
Baba
भी समझाया
explained the
है।
meaning of Om.
बाप भी कहते ओम शांति
Baba also says Om Shanti.
ओम शांति
Om
आत्मा
Shanti.
का अपना
The
स्वरूप
soul,
व लक्ष्य है शांति
the aim and essence of the soul is peace.
है शांति आत्मा का धर्म शांत है
The religion of the soul is peace. Baba gives his own introduction.
परमात्मा का परिचय
The introduction of the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul, is like that of the soul. People give a lot of complicated meaning of Om, but Baba says Om. They think Om means God. There is the praise of Bholanath, the innocent Lord, but that cannot be Shankar,
क्यों शंकर
because Shankar
मध्यंतकारा
doesn't know the secrets of the beginning, middle, and end.
शंकर आदि
He doesn't know those secrets. He doesn't explain that.
बताते हैं
It is Bholanath who tells that, and he gives you your inheritance. Shankar doesn't give you your inheritance.
ऐसे भी नहीं शंकर कोई शांति
Shankar
देते हैं।
doesn't give peace.
नहीं शांति देने लिए भी
In order to attain peace, Shiv Baba has to come into the body and explain. Shankar doesn't come into the body.
शिव
That's such a nice point, isn't it? That even for Shiv Baba to give peace, he has to come into sound. He has to come into the body and give knowledge. It's knowledge that creates peace.
भोलानाथ ही शांति सब संपत्ति
Shiv Baba is the the innocent Lord, and he gives you peace and long life
संपत्ति
and happiness and wealth.
देते हैं हर चीज अविनाशी देते हैं
He gives everything imperishable. He is the imperishable Father,
अविनाशी देते
and he gives an imperishable inheritance.
ड्रामा को भी अविनाशी कहा जाता है
The drama is also called imperishable.
तो भी बने नहीं है
The,
अनादि ड्रामा है
it is not limited one. This is the unlimited drama.
भेद का नाटक है
This is the unlimited play.
स्थूल नाटक मनुष्यों के होते हैं
Those are human films that repeat. They made a story about cunts, and they show that play.
भेद का ड्रामा
But this is the unlimited drama.
उससे शुरू होता है
which starts at the Golden Age
कलयुग अंत तक
and carries on till the end of the Iron Age, then it's finished and then it repeats.
वर्ल्ड रिपीट हो कहा जाता है
It is said the world repeats, but which world?
बरोबर
Indeed,
सतयुगी वर्ल्ड
it is the Golden Aged world which was there.
अब रिपीट होनी
It
है
now has to repeat.
आधा कल्प के बाद
After half a kalpa,
पुरानी वर्ल्ड की हिस्ट्री ज्योग्राफी
the history and geography of the old world repeats.
पुरानी वर्ल्ड की हिस्ट्री ज्योग्राफी रिपीट होती है
It repeats.
नए को दिन
The new is called the day, the old is called the night.
ट्रांसलेशन मिल रही है
Daddy's asking if you're getting translation, so you can say that you are, wave or something.
आधा कल्प के बाद पुरानी वर्ल्ड की हिस्ट्री ज्योग्राफी रिपीट होती है
So the history of the old world repeats, the new is the day, the old is the night.
ये सब बातें बाप समझाते हैं
All these things are explained by Baba.
वह ज्ञान सागर
He is the ocean of
से
knowledge,
लेकर अंत तक ज्ञान लेना है
and you have to take knowledge from the beginning all the way to the end. He is the ocean of knowledge, take it all the way to the end.
ये पढ़ाई पढ़ना है
You must study this
पढ़ाई
study.
15-20 वर्ष चलती है
That study carries on 15, 20 years, but this is a very big knowledge. And the aim of
पढ़ाई
this,
का उद्देश्य है
the aim of this
से
study
देवता
is to change from a human to a deity.
जो भी सिर पर पाप है उनको जलाना
And whatever sin is on your head, you
ये
must
बाबा
burn
ने
it.
रूहानी यात्रा सिखलाई है
Baba has taught the spiritual pilgrimage. You,
मनुष्य से देवता बनना
you must destroy your sin and become deities through the spiritual
जहाँ से
pilgrimage,
वापस से मृत्यु लोक में
from
नहीं आना
which you will not return to this world of death.
जन्मांतर बहुत
You have done a lot of physical pilgrimages.
जानना है
You know the beginning, continuation, and end.
मध्य को भी जानना
You
है
know the beginning, you know the beginning, middle of drama.
बड़ी बड़ी बातें होती है
And many things happen in the middle, like Ravan's kingdom starts.
रावण राज शुरू हो जाता है भक्ति मार्ग शुरू
And
होता है
bhakti starts.
मनुष्य भ्रष्टाचारी
People
बनने शुरू
begin
होते हैं।
to be corrupt,
संपूर्ण भ्रष्टाचारी
and complete corruption
संपूर्ण भ्रष्टाचारी बनने में टाइम आधा कल्प लगता है
takes half a kalpa to accomplish. Maya's kingdom starts in the
As I was saying a bit earlier, we think of our foundation at the beginning of the copper. So many of our weaknesses began with that initial neediness. And then, like Baba said, it's like a tree of weaknesses that grows to the end of the Iron Age. And we come to Baba with a very complicated personality.
Copper Age. So Bhakti and Ravan's kingdom are all about the decline.
और रावण राज्य दोनों नाम गिरने के हैं
They both bring you into falling. After Bhakti, you will meet God. Baba says, you are the ones who do the greatest amount of Bhakti, and you are the ones who take knowledge.
ज्ञान और भक्ति के संगम पर
At the confluence of Gyan and
के
Bhakti,
संगम पर क्या चाहिए
what do you want at the confluence?
ज्ञान और भक्ति के समय
At the time of Gyan and Bhakti, the confluence, you need to have Vairag, which is the disinterest.
ज्ञान वैराग चाहिए
So you need disinterest.
करते हो पांच विकारों का
And then you can have renunciation of the 5 vices.
का है हठ योग
Shankaracharya teaches Hatha Yoga,
सीखते हैं
and they learn many different kinds of yoga. They leave their home and they become yogis of the element of light. They are called Tattva Gyanis or Tattva Yogis.
देते भी है
They give knowledge of the elements, but you children understand
चक्कर कैसे फिर
how this world cycle rotates.
हम देखते थे शुरू में
In the beginning,
चक्कर का ज्ञान शुरू करो ना फिर
when you start the knowledge of the cycle, it's difficult for people to pick it up.
समझ जाएंगे परमात्मा का
They can understand the soul, the supreme soul,
समझना
but to understand the knowledge of the world cycle,
पार बजाना है
we have to play a part.
इस बंदर के आगे
And when you tell people this, it's like beating drums in front of monkeys. They can't understand anything. But the humans who are like monkeys have to become like worthy to live in a temple, for which this Gyan dance is for that.
डांस को उन्होंने डमरू नाम रखा
And they have given the name Damaru, which is a drum, and they play these drums in front of monkeys. Baba explains, all of you used to be monkeys.
शिव बाबा ज्ञान डमरू बजाए
Shiv Baba is drumming the knowledge so that you can become worthy to be in temples. They think it was Ravan's kingdom in Sri Lanka, but it was actually throughout the entire world, which is surrounded by the ocean, and it's Ravan's kingdom everywhere. They are telling limited things. Baba gives you the unlimited secrets.
सारी दुनिया रावण के जंजीरों में फंसी
The whole world is caught in the chains of Ravan,
कारों के कारण
and because of vices, the whole world
कारण पतित कहा जाता
is called impure,
पतित पुकारते हैं
and the impure call out to God for purification.
अकरम को पावन
They
बनाओ
say, come and purify us.
आत्मा कोई पावन
The soul
घर जाना है
wants to become pure
पावन बन वापस घर
so that it can go back home.
तुम जानते हो
You know.
अभी कौन सी नई बात सुनाएगा बाबा
What new point will Baba say now?
हम एक बाप के बच्चे
You know that we are the children of one Father, and we are all brothers and sisters.
प्रजापिता ब्रह्मा भी चाहिए
And so you need Prajapita Brahma, because we're brothers and sisters.
ब्रह्मा भी चाहिए
Can you see how she brought emphasis to a particular point that she wanted? And generally, it seems like quite a day-to-day point that we're all brothers and sisters. But what she wanted to emphasize is that the Prajapita is needed down here. So it's not just a Brahma up in the subtle region, but there has to also be a Brahma down here, a corporeal Brahma.
शिव बाबा कहते हैं तुम
Shiv Baba says, you are incorporeal souls,
साकार में
children of Shiva, brothers, and then in the physical form you become brothers and sisters. Incorporeally you are all brothers, and when Prajapita Brahma is there in physical form, he makes you physical brothers and sisters.
बहन भाई
So spiritually you're brothers, and physically you're brothers and sisters. So have faith that we are the descendants of Shiva, the Prajapita Brahma Kumars and Kumaris. Do you understand this?
ब्रह्मा कुमार कुमारियां है ये लिखा पड़ा हो यहाँ
Write it on your forehead,
जैसे लगे ये ब्रह्मा कुमार कुमारी
so people can know by your face that you are Brahma Kumars and Kumaris.
वर्षा पाना है बाप से
You get your inheritance from the Father.
वो अविनाशी सर्जन भी कहा
He is also called the imperishable surgeon.
हर एक का कर्म बंधन अलग अलग
Each one has their own different karmic bondages. Baba comes and explains about pure, neutral and impure karma. Each one needs to express the story of their lives.
ये तो जानते हो
And you know that from the copper age you have become impure.
तुम जन्म है
Now this is your last birth, and any sin you have done,
आए हैं
it has accumulated
ने पाप किए हैं वो जमा होते आए हैं
until now,
जमा करने
and now you have to accumulate pure karma.
के पाप कैसे करते हैं
How will you finish off the sins of so many births and become punya atma? Baba says, you must remember me, and then your negative karma will be destroyed.
तनों का दान करना है
You must also donate the jewels of knowledge. Those who donate a lot,
जो बहुत दान करेंगे वे ऊंच मर्तबा
they will get a high status.
भारत जैसा दान कोई करता नहीं है।
No one does charity like Bharat. Where do we get it from? We get from the unlimited Father,
मिलता कहाँ से? सबसे बड़ा
the greatest philanthropist.
भी ये कोई जो बाबा ने philanthropy शब्द बोला था ना,
When
सीखना पड़ा इसे
Baba
कैसे बोलेंगे?
used this word philanthropist, we had to learn how to say it. Baba gives donation of
झोली
life.
भर कर तृप्त कर देते हैं।
He fills your pockets and makes you
झोली कम हुआ,
satisfied.
जल्दी भरना है।
It's up to you how much you fill your pockets.
नंबरवार झोली भरते हैं।
You fill your pockets number
ब्राह्मण
wise.
ब्राह्मणियाँ हैं।
There are so many Brahmins,
सेंटर्स है।
so many centers.
बढ़ते जाएंगे।
It will continue to increase. God is speaking. It will continue to increase. Look how much it has increased. Baba is wonderful.
शिव बाबा से जुड़ा है अविनाशी।
The children of Shiv Baba are imperishable, and then there is the physical genealogical tree. According to drama,
बनना ही है।
you have to become Brahmins from Shudras. It is not possible that you cannot be Brahmins. You have to be according to drama, it's fixed. According to drama, that many have to become Brahmins who had been in the previous cycle, and those are the ones who have to become the deities in the golden age. The tree has to be developed like this. There are some who are very firm Mahavirs,
बनते हैं जो उनको कोई हिला न सके।
and no one can shake them.
समझा? कैसी बातें आई।
So you can understand so many things come. So who is sitting here like that,
हिला न सके।
who cannot be shaken by Maya?
अच्छी तरह जाओ ना।
So put your hands up very
सारे
strongly and high,
बच्चे भी हैं जो माया हिला न सके।
so Maya cannot shake you.
माया क्यों आई है तभी ये ऐसे हुआ है। नहीं, ना।
Don't be such that you say, oh, this Maya came and that Maya came and I shake. To those who are constant means
शुरू से लेकर
from the
चलते
beginning until now, they are continuing.
कहा जाता है
The great warriors are the ones who have a stable stage,
कला बन गए हैं।
but still no one can say, I have become 16 celestial degrees, but you have to become that.
बनने की निशानी क्या है?
What are the signs
कला संपूर्ण
of being 16 celestial degrees?
निशानी क्या है? जो
The signs are those who
झोली भर
fill their pockets very well and fill everyone else's pockets. According to drama,
पहले जिसने ज्ञान की धारणा
whoever had inculcated Gyan in the previous kalpa, they will do it now. As a detached observer, we see you must definitely make effort. Without effort, you cannot attain any fruit.
वैसा मनुष्य
These are all human beings, and it is humans who make effort.
मनुष्य के द्वारा पुरुषार्थ करते हैं।
Those are humans who make each other make effort. Human beings made scriptures, but now you are receiving Srimad from the Supreme Father. The highest is God.
उनका ठाव है।
His place is the highest of high. His name and his place are the highest. He has come
शांति धाम का मालिक बनना।
to make you into the masters of the world of happiness and the world of peace.
बाप आया है
The Father has come
धाम शांति धाम का मालिक बनना।
to make you the masters of the world of happiness and peace. He will take everyone to the world of peace.
बड़ा बेहद का बाप पिंडा है।
He is a great unlimited guide.
इतना बड़ा बेहद का पिंडा है। वह एक है।
He is the one.
यात्रा पर ले जाने वाले अनेक पंडित
There are many guides who take you on physical pilgrimages, lots of guides for the Kumbh Mela,
मेला है
but this is the real true Kumbh Mela.
मेला है बस पंडा एक ही है
But there's only one guide.
तुम वो पांडव सेना
You are the Pandav army.
5 पांडव दिखाए हैं
5 Pandavas are shown
दिखाए हैं
and they are praised. This is the Shakti army. They say we bow to the mothers.
मुख्य है भारत
The main is Bharat. He is the mother and father of all. He has come to purify all.
कृष्ण का नाम
People will not believe in Krishna, but they put the name of Krishna in the Gita,
करने के कारण
and because of that,
इतना ऊंच तीर्थ समझते नहीं
they do not realize that Bharat is that much elevated. Baba says,
गीता पढ़ते पढ़ते मनुष्यों की क्या हालत हो
look at the condition of people by reading the Gita. Baba is now giving the inheritance to everyone. There is unlimited knowledge. If you make the whole ocean into ink, you still wouldn't be able to write it, and you made all the earth into paper.
अंत नहीं पाया जाता
You would not be able to reach the end of it.
शिवाय में के बदले
Instead of saying we bow to Shiva, they put the name of Krishna. Now you have to become sticks for the blind.
परिचय देना है
Give the introduction of the Father and say who is the highest of all. It is the unlimited Father, Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul. From whom can you get your inheritance? From Him.
कलप पहले भी
In the previous Kalpa, the Brahmin souls had taken the inheritance, the establishment had taken place. You have to pass through the castes,
ब्राह्मण बनते हो
and you change from Shudras to Brahmins.
बनते हो ब्राह्मणों द्वारा यज्ञ रचा जाता है
And through Brahmins, the yajna is created. You are true Brahmins, they are false Brahmins. God is speaking. I am teaching Raj Yoga to you children.
तुमको भगवान पढ़ाते हैं
Here God is teaching you.
मनुष्य को पढ़ाते
There humans are teaching each other.
आपका परिचय देना
First you have to give the introduction to the Father.
परम पिता परमात्मा से
The Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul. What is your relationship with Him?
भी समझा देते हैं
You explain so much, but still they say
परमात्मा सर्वव्यापी
that God is everywhere
पत्थर बुद्धि है
because they have a stone intellect.
अरे हम संबंध पूछते हैं
We're asking about a relationship.
परमात्मा से क्या संबंध है
What is your relationship? They say He is everywhere.
पत्थर बुद्धि है
That's because they have stone intellects. We're asking about a relationship. Can you have a relationship with something that's everywhere?
होती जाएंगी
But continue, and there will be more and more coming.
वोट से मिलते जाएंगे
You will get more and more force.
बाबा लिखते रहते हैं
Baba keeps writing.
को भी निमंत्रण देना है
You must invite the people of different religions,
बातें सिद्ध कर दी
and you have to prove a few things, and then their business will get a little slack.
तो बच्चों को
Now, you children
सभी जोर शोर से बढ़ानी है
have to intensify the service powerfully,
और खलास
but they understand, and then when they go out, it's finished. It's difficult for people to understand the knowledge of the cycle.
कर जाते हैं उनको फिर चिट्ठी लिखनी चाहिए
You write, take their opinion, write to them and say, why have you stopped coming? You need to put in effort to keep people going.
बानू यहाँ है क्या
Is Banu here? Dadi's asking, the brother who sings. He's standing there.
है कहाँ है मूली पूरी करूँ ना
So, at the end of the Murli,
नहीं यहाँ मैंने कोट क्या पहना ये क्या पहना है तुमने वाइट पहनना चाहिए ना
and she wants him to take off his beige coat and put a white one on.
ड्रामानुसार
According to drama, the effort the children have done is good. Whatever was in drama, it is repeating.
सर्विस बढ़नी थी
As much as you have to increase service and make Brahmins that many have become, there will be increase.
बाप को पहचानेंगे
Some will recognize Baba in a second. You can play, clap your hands. In a second, someone will recognize. Who recognized Baba in a second?
मेरी story very wonderful है
My story is very wonderful. I recognized Baba in a second.
एकदम
Absolutely.
बाबा को देख
I saw Baba.
ये मेरा बाबा है ये
I
मेरा
said,
बाबा है।
this is my Baba.
कोई सेकंड में बाबा को पहचानेंगे कोई 7 दिन में पहचानेंगे
Some will recognize in a
कोई 1
week,
मास में,
some in a
कोई
month,
चलते चलते ठंडे हो
and some, as they go along, they kind of cool down.
तो संजीवनी बूटी से खड़े भी
And then they get revived with the Sanjeevani Bhuti, the life-giving herb. Children know that Srimad makes India into heaven.
बनाने के responsible
We have that responsibility
मन से स्वर्गवासी बनाना
to
है
make India into heaven through Srimad. This is a game. You go to the world of Shiva. You used to be in heaven, then after so many births, Ravan started making you dwellers of hell. Now you are completely impoverished dwellers of hell, Baba says.
तुम बच्चे
You children
स्वदर्शन चक्रधारी बनते हो
become the spinners of this cycle of self-realization, and you must cut the head of Ravan.
असुर काटते हो रावण दुश्मन पर जीत पाते हो
You gain victory over Ravan, your enemy. He's a foreigner.
था
This was our kingdom of Ram, and we got rid of Ravan from everywhere.
राम जोश है
We are very strong in that.
ये अनुभव करो
So you have this experience
करो
of being the spinner of cycle of self-realization that cuts the head of Ravan.
सत्युग सुख वाटिका है
The golden age is the world of happiness. The iron age is the world of sorrow. People say, I am Shiva. The rosary of Shiva and Vishnu is important. You cannot make the rosary of Brahmins. This is the rosary of Rudra. Vishnu is the rosary of the family people.
जैसा बनाओ
You have to make people into deities. This is your aim and object. You are changing from dark to bright. You have to kick away the old world.
तुम पुरानी दुनिया को लात
You have to kick away the old world.
की आत्मा गौरी थी
The soul of Krishna was very bright, and they gave the globe of heaven into his hand. They showed their faces black. They do not know who had created this world. Okay?
सिकिल दे बच्चों प्रति माता पिता बाप दादा का याद प्यार गुड मॉर्निंग रूहानी बाप की रूहानी बच्चों को नमस्ते रूहानी बच्चों की रूहानी बाप को नमस्ते धारणा के मुख्य सार
Essence for Dharna.
बाप सम्मान बाप
You have to
सम्मान
become like the Father
मनुष्यों को जिए दान देना है
and give donation of life to people.
बेहद के बाप से दान लेकर
Take donation from the unlimited Father and give it to others. You must definitely become a great bestower.
दूसरा स्वदर्शन
You
चक्रधारी
must
बन
be
रावण का असुर काटना है
a spinner of the cycle of self-realization and cut the head of Ravan. Remember this.
काटना है बेहद का वैरागी बन
You must become unlimited distaste and have renunciation of all the vices. Blessing.
अपने भाग्य के स्मृति से
Have the awareness of your fortune.
हम भाग्यवान हैं
How much you are fortunate.
स्मृति से
Through this
डांस
awareness,
करने वाले
keep yourself always dancing in happiness.
अमृत वेले से रात तक
From the Amrit Vela till the
वेले
night.
से रात तक है जो ब्राह्मण बच्चों
The
को
Brahmin
श्रेष्ठ
children
भाग्य मिला है,
have received elevated
भाग्य की
fortune.
लिस्ट सदा सामने रखो,
Keep your list of your fortune
और ये
always
गीत
in
गाते
front of you
रहो,
and sing this song.
वाह मेरा श्रेष्ठ भाग्य
How
है,
wonderful my elevated
जो
fortune
भाग्य विधाता
is,
ही अपना
which
हो गया,
the bestower of fortune has given me and he has become mine.
जो भाग्य विधाता ही हमारा हो गया, अपना हो गया।
The bestower of fortune is mine, and then keep dancing in this happiness no matter what happens. This is a good thing. The creator of fortune is my father.
मरने तक भी
Until your
बात
death,
भी आ जाए ना, दिल खुशी न जाए, मरने तक भी
you
कोई
have
बात
to,
आवे ना, खुशी
whatever
न जाए।
happens, your
शरीर चला
happiness
जाए,
should
कोई
not
हर्जा
go.
नहीं,
Even if you
कोई
lose your
खुशी नहीं
body,
जाए।
it's okay, but your happiness should not go. Slogan:
हर्षित मुख रखना है,
keep a happy
हर्षित मुख
face,
रहना है, तो साखी बन
stay
के सीट
happy,
पर
and
बैठ,
sit on the seat of a
निष्ठा
detached
बनकर
observer
हर खेल को देखते जाओ।
and watch the games.
हर्षित मुख रहना है,
Be happy,
साखी बन के सीट पर बैठ,
detached,
निष्ठा बन, हर खेल
and
को, हर
be a
खेल को
detached observer and watch the games.
पहले गीत सुनावे,
So Banuben has to come and sing his song.
आओ कहाँ गया, भाई
Question to hear from Dadi. Would anyone like to share any final reflections?
Uh, I liked how the Murli ended the line, become a detached observer and watch the games. Because really, when we see everything as a game within this drama, while it might be serious, we do not take it into that level. That we create fear. It's a drama, and everything that happens must end. Whatever is happening has to end. I also like where Baba said the confluence of Gyan and Bhakti is disinterest. And it's really disinterest will support us in helping to conquer the vices. Once we have that level of disinterest in this old world, disinterest in name and fame status, all of those things, what we identify with on a body conscious level, that really will support getting rid of the vices, the accumulation. And Baba reinforces again, reminds us again, the only way really to get rid of these sins is yoga. We have to have this yoga. And really the goal of the time is really to intensify yoga. That's what I'm seeing more and more each day. While service is always important to support the yagya, yoga is the key at this time. Shanti.
Okay. Anyone else want to come in?
Shanti, I like the point that was made where we were Brahmin souls before, and we pulled to become Brahmin souls again, and we have to realize how fortunate we are and how elevated we are as souls to become Baba's first set of children, and to just be thankful, be grateful in every way, and we have to grow in that capacity to elevate Baba's words and Baba's praise and Baba's lessons and everything. But most important for me is that we were Brahmin before, we are pulled to be Brahmins again and understand our fortune as such. Shanti.
Yeah, good point. Thank you.
Another point that Baba made is we have to follow those or take advice from those who follow Srimat, and the ones who give the ultimate Srimat is really Shiv Baba. At this time, when we had the daddies, that was one thing. Yes, we can take from the instrument souls, but it all depends on those instrument souls as well. But really, the ultimate following is Baba Srimat. And he also was saying, it is Srimat what will make Bharat, India into heaven. So how important it is for serving India, serving Bharat, to bring it back to that level of golden age. Yeah. Sure.
Thank you. Yeah.
May I share something that I felt? I think about the content, a lot of information is already shared, which I had in my mind. But what was striking for me to watch today, Dadi Janki, was this immense sense of childlike innocence. You can't even like find a glimpse of body consciousness at all. Is so much of immersed in like narrating Baba's Murli in terms of his Vani, but in certain points, that profound knowledge in a striking way she brings in.
Right.
She emphasizes that when there is a profound knowledge to be given emphasis, she brings in that kind of a strike. And then you see this innocence of just being herself, and that's so overwhelming. And to emulate, to be like her, to go in that path just feel like keep watching her to get that sense within our own body, to be in that state of complete devoid of being conscious about having these roles, other roles in our life. So I think this was an excellent way of watching it. Thank you for this. Absolutely delighted. Thank you.
Yes, I also share your observations and experience. So it's the thing I miss the most, actually, that we haven't got ready to read the Murli anymore. But I did have that opportunity for many years. And as you described, this one thing that all of the Dadis share is the ability to stay as others' child and not adopt another ego. So it's very clear that she's communicating that she's got a student. So she's listening to the Murli with us. And then, as you say, when she wants to emphasize a point or teach something, she makes that switch in terms of emphasizing. And also the fact that her whole being communicates the intoxication of the point being shared. So, if there's that, the one that she emphasizes of being Prajapita Brahma's children, we are brothers and sisters. And she was saying, like, write it on your forehead. And it's like, it was there on her forehead, it was there in her being, that identity of being Prajapita Brahma's child, being Shiv Baba's grandchild, is so deep, it's so fundamental. It's not something that's forgotten and that has to be reminded again. And that, I think, she brought across a lot. And even when you see her with that Veda, it's like a girl, like no matter how old the body is, but you're like a girl coming in front of her parents. It's that type of feeling. So I think she does communicate those things and makes us understand that, like, even just little body language, gestures or facial expressions, we learn that actually there's when you're connected with that all the time, these points come to life. I have another feeling about them. So yes, I completely share your experience. Thanks for that.
Well, all I can say is yesterday we read that Murli and it was accurate, even but the heading, the title or theme was absorb the knowledge. You saw Dadi how, although she has been so long, but every Murli she reads, she's absorbing. She's reading, but it's Baba, and then absorbing and becoming the form, like you say, she becomes at the same time. And yesterday's Murli was telling us that as well. that you have the balance of both knowledge and power. And you see that is speaks like this, that she was saying not only knowledge, like she said, knowledge is nothing, but at the same time you have to be Shiv Shakti, Pandu, very brave soldier. Anyway, so yesterday's theme of that Murli was Gyan Samana, Samana hai or तो समाएंगे तो अनमोल मोती मिलेंगे. So you just absorb and like a tatrak bird, the bird that brings the first drop of the amrut when the rain comes, and then so absorb like a sponge, so absorb, and then you'll find change every word into an invaluable, priceless pearls or gem. And also then you will have achievement. But you need a balance of the power. You have to be powerful as well by practicing and becoming the form at the same time. And so we need the powers, and powers are unlimited power. Amog, this is like very unique and unlimited. So you have to be that powerful that you don't shake no matter what happens. And that I found even in today's movie. And we had this movie not about 3 weeks ago, 2.5 to 3 weeks ago. Remember? Sakar movie. So you might have the copy if you, I can't remember the exact day or date, but we just had it. If you find the song, Bhola Nath Se Nirala, the innocent love, then you will find and you can revise that movie again. But this movie is in there. I loved it. But main thing is the balance of everything, even the blessing in that movie. It was being the balance, having a balance, and Amrit Vela. When Baba said, pay attention at Amrit Vela.
And it made me laugh when Baba said that he was beating the drums and you are all the monkeys. And he was beating the drum because Ram was shown with this army of monkeys. And so this is the intellect that we have of the devices. So Shiva, because the song of the Murli was around the innocent Lord, and this is a praise specific to Shiva. They don't sing it in front of other deities. It's very specific. And the Natarajan is the dancing, the cosmic dancing form of Shiva, which is linked with distraction. So this is why that Dhammaru is linked with this dance of distraction. And this dance, and so Dadi was explaining that it's not that the Shankar does some dance like that, but it's Shiva, the dance of knowledge. So whether you call it the Gita, the song of knowledge, the Murli, the flute of knowledge, or whether you call it the drum, the Dhammaru, the dance of knowledge, that is all the same. It is all the Murli. This is the role that Shiva plays. He's the teacher. Malavan, did you want to come in?
No, that just struck me. In a Murli quite recently, he did say, was it yesterday's Murli? He said, you listen to the drums of happiness in you, Nagare, Kushika Nagare, I think that's what he said. And also it reminded me of uses the imagery of noise as well as, like today beating with a stick, the laundryman. So it's just very stark. And takes me back to the point you were mentioning in yesterday's Murli review on the methods which Baba employs to get us to focus, to concentrate. And he makes it so easy because the imagery is so vivid that it really sticks to the mind. And like today's Murli, just now Dadi Janki was reading that the Dhammaru point was a really a good one, which really stuck to me. It may sound like a Lokic thing, but it really did speak to me on that. And the
Mm.
point Vidya Ben was making just now on the way Dadi reads the Murli, you can really feel that, that connection. Baba says, you have to be my mouthpiece, so that whoever is listening actually catches the vibrations. And with Dadi, even though it's on video, you can really feel those vibrations from her. There's a few thoughts there.
Agreed. And we had the class we watched last week as well. We were just in the beginning of that class, and we looked into her eyes. You can see that connection with the sea. So, like you're saying, it's that which communicates something else. It's an added element. And that's us.
Yeah. Well, there were quite a few points. This is the image of a Natraj, like, and then Baba said, Dadi said that they would understand the first two, like I'm a soul, but they don't understand the cycle. And so Natraj, if you look at the Natraj, all his dance is explaining how the cycle is left hand and then going to right hand. So that's us at this time. And so
Can I ask a question on
so
that?
is-
Can I ask a question on that point, please? So just now in the Murli, Dadi mentioned that, did I hear it correctly? Those with stone intellect won't actually understand the cycle. They may know knowledge of soul and God, but not the cycle.
No,
Is
no.
that what you
That
said?
was the point about omnipresence. So Baba had said that you talk about the relationship with God, and then they say God is everywhere. God is omnipresent. That's because they've got a stone intellect, so they can't accept that point. Omnipresence is such a popular belief, and many people are attached to these beliefs of Janki, where they find it very difficult to let go. And they don't have that realization. They feel God is within them. They can feel God's presence within them. They don't realize that's the soul. They're actually there, a soul inside of them. So that was that point. The point about the cycle was didn't quite come through in the translation. But what Dadi was saying to Shuruma, meaning when she began explaining knowledge in the early days, her experience was that people could accept the soul and the supreme soul, but then they became confused when we begin explaining the dynamics of the cycle. So she was just sharing that point. But then later on, she was talking about how the Sudarshan, it's called the Sudarshan Chakra in Hinduism, is a weapon that cuts the head of the demons. And she was explaining that the meaning of that is cutting the head of our inner demons, our devices. And so she was saying we all need to experience this, where we are spinning our cycle of self-realization and experiencing how our weaknesses are being cut away through that spin. So that was a nice point, nice experience for us to work on. Okay, thank you all. It's another rich session, and great to have Dadi's presence with us again. Thank you all for your input today. And also warm greetings to those of you later on watching on the YouTube channel. So see you all soon. Have a good week. And we'll catch you again, hopefully next week. I'm Shanti.
Shanti. Have a beautiful week. Thank you.
Thank you.